If you ask anyone in my family, they'll tell you that I've always been the responsible one. The one who pays bills on time, the one who remembers birthdays, the one who double-checks every detail before making a decision. It's not glamorous, but it's who I've always been. My younger brother, on the other hand, has always been the wild card. Connor Wells, age 29. Smart but impulsive. Charming but unreliable. The kind of guy who could talk his way out of a police ticket but couldn't commit to a job longer than 6 months. He was the kind of person who always seemed to land on his feet, but only because the rest of us cushioned his fall over and over again. I'm Ethan Wells, 33, and until recently, I believed Connor's recklessness would eventually settle down as he got older. I was wrong, terribly, painfully wrong, because what he did wasn't just impulsive, or irresponsible, or childish. What he did was calculated theft, of the worst kind. He stole from the one person in the world who loved him unconditionally, the one person who always defended him, the one person who trusted him blindly. Our grandmother, Margaret Wells, was 83 when all this happened. A sweet, gentle woman who baked apple pie every Sunday, knitted blankets for every baby in the family, and believed the best about everyone, especially Connor. Where the rest of us saw recklessness, she saw potential. Where we saw manipulation, she saw charm. Where we saw red flags, she saw youth. She adored him, and he knew it. So when he started hanging around casinos in Reno, Nevada, she didn't think much of it at first. Connor told her he was just having fun, that he knew what he was doing, and that he had a strategy. Grandma believed every word. She shouldn't have. The real nightmare started when she fell one afternoon in her home, fracturing her hip. She ended up in the hospital for a week and couldn't manage her own finances for a bit. Since I lived out of state in Portland, Oregon, and my parents were dealing with major health issues, Connor volunteered to help her with her banking. We all thought he meant paying bills, organizing paperwork, running errands. We didn't know he had full access to her savings account. We didn't know he'd taken her debit card just to keep it safe. We didn't know he'd memorized her PIN years ago. We didn't know we were handing him a loaded weapon. Grandma had about $45,000 saved. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was everything she had left. Her emergency fund, her medical fund, her peace of mind. She spent 40 years working as a school secretary, clipping coupons, packing lunches, and saving every extra dollar so she'd never be a burden to anyone. That money represented decades of sacrifice, and Connor burned through it in 3 months. 3 months. Gambling, casinos, sports bets, poker tables, ATMs in hotels, online betting apps, cash withdrawals at 3 a.m. Every penny gone. But we didn't know that yet. Not until Grandma got a hospital bill in the mail for $12,700 and called me. Panicked. "Ethan," she said in the smallest voice I've ever heard from her, "there must be a mistake. My account is empty." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean empty?" I asked. She sniffled. "I can't pay the bill. There's nothing left." I felt something inside me snap. I immediately logged into her account while on the phone. What I saw nearly made me drop my laptop. Dozens of cash withdrawals. Amounts like $400, $1,000, $2,500, $600, $1,200. Hundreds of transactions. All over Nevada. All at casinos. And all while Grandma had been in the hospital. And there, on several ATM cameras, later confirmed, Connor. My hands shook with rage. "Grandma," I said gently, "I need you to call the bank and freeze the account right now." She whispered, Did someone steal from me?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Yeah," I said quietly, "and I'm going to find out who." I already knew, but I needed proof, undeniable proof. And that's exactly what I was going to get. Because if Connor thought he was going to get away with stealing $45,000 from our grandmother, he didn't know who he was dealing with. I would track every dollar, every withdrawal, every bet, every night he snuck into a casino, every lie he told. And when I was done, He would never be able to run from the truth again. I didn't sleep the night Grandma called me. I sat at my desk in my Portland apartment, staring at the bank statements glowing on my laptop screen, rage and disbelief pulsing through me like electricity. How could he do this? To her? To the woman who practically raised us? Every line of the transaction history was another slap in the face. Riverside Casino, $500. Silver Moon Hotel ATM, $800. Kingsborough Sportsbook, $1,200. Online Bet Boost, $300. Lucky Star Casino, $2,000. Cash withdrawal, $500. Cash withdrawal, $450. Cash withdrawal, $1,000. It went on and on and on. Timestamps from midnight, 2 a.m. for 57 a.m. Dates that matched every weekend Grandma had been in the hospital, drugged on pain meds, trusting him to handle things. He didn't even bother to hide it. He'd taken the money recklessly, greedily, arrogantly, as if he believed the consequences would never touch him. As if Grandma's love was a guarantee, not a gift. I opened a spreadsheet and started logging every transaction myself. Time, location, amount, ATM number, casino name, camera station. I was shaking with anger, but my mind was sharp. If Connor thought nobody would notice, he didn't know me at all. The next morning, I called the bank myself and requested security footage from the ATMs used for the largest withdrawals. The representative hesitated at first, saying it required a formal fraud claim and a police report. I said, "Good. Start the claim. The police report is next." I could practically feel the rep straighten up on the other end of the line. When the first file arrived in my email, I opened it immediately. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. There he was, Connor, in a black hoodie, eyes wild and wide with adrenaline, punching in Grandma's PIN like it was second nature, grabbing stacks of cash from the machine with shaking hands. He looked smug, excited, like he was winning something. He wasn't winning. He was destroying. I spent the next 2 days compiling everything. Every dollar, every withdrawal, every casino entry log I could get, every hotel receipt tied to his name, every ATM video the bank would release. The total? $45,742. 19. Gone. Burned. Wasted on cheap thrills and empty promises. And that didn't even include overdraft fees. I felt sick. My grandmother, the woman who never bought herself anything nice, who reused plastic bags and washed paper plates to save money, had her entire life savings turned into casino chips and bar tabs. By her own grandson. I flew to Nevada the moment I had everything assembled. When I arrived at Grandma's house, she was sitting in her recliner with a blanket over her lap, wringing her hands nervously. Her eyes were red and puffy. She'd been crying. Seeing her like that, it lit something inside me, not just anger, resolve. "Ethan," she said softly, "I don't understand what happened." I sat down beside her. "Grandma," I said gently, "I know who took your money." She swallowed. Was it someone from the bank?" "No," I said quietly. "It was Connor." The way her face crumpled, God, I'll never forget it. She covered her mouth, shaking her head. "No, he wouldn't. He loves me. I placed the paperwork on the table. The spreadsheets, the printed bank statements, the screenshots, the timestamps, the casino logs, and finally, the ATM photos. Her hand trembled as she picked up the first page. When she reached the image of Connor pulling cash from the machine, she dropped the photo and let out a small, broken gasp. No, no, no. This isn't right. I must be misunderstanding." I put my hand over hers. "Grandma," I said gently, "he took it. All of it." She burst into tears, full-body sobs, the kind that shake your soul. I pulled her into my arms and held her as she cried. "I trusted him," she kept whispering. "I trusted him. I trusted him." My eyes burned with fury. "I know," I said softly. "I'm going to make it right." But she shook her head suddenly, panicked. "No police," she begged. "No lawyers. No trouble. He's family. He might go to jail. I bit the inside of my cheek so hard it bled. Of course she didn't want to hurt him. Of course she wanted to protect him. She always had. That's why he stole from her in the first place. Because he knew she would bend. She just didn't know he was willing to break her. I stayed with her for hours that afternoon, comforting her, cooking for her, helping her settle down. But the moment she fell asleep in her recliner, I got in my rental car and drove straight to Connor's apartment. My blood was boiling. This wasn't going to be a gentle conversation. When I pulled up, I saw his car in the driveway, a car he definitely didn't pay for himself, and stormed up the steps. I knocked once, hard. He opened the door holding a soda can, wearing sweatpants, completely relaxed. "Ethan, oh hey man, what's up?" He smiled like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't ripped our grandmother's heart out. I didn't say a word. I shoved the stack of printed bank statements into his chest so hard he stumbled back. He blinked, confused. "What's this?" "You tell me," I snapped, "because it looks like evidence." He flipped through the pages quickly. For a second, he tried to fake ignorance. "What? No, this isn't. Don't lie to me," I growled. He opened his mouth to speak again, but he saw it in my eyes. He saw the fury, the betrayal, the promise that I wasn't here to negotiate. His expression changed. He dropped the papers and stepped back, arms up. Okay, I messed up, but I'll pay it back. I swear I'll pay it back." "With what?" I laughed bitterly. "Your last paycheck from a job you quit after 2 weeks? Ethan, chill. Don't you dare tell me to chill." I stepped closer. "You stole from her. You emptied her account. You left her with nothing. She couldn't even pay her hospital bill because of you." His face twisted, part guilt, part annoyance. "It wasn't supposed to get that bad," he muttered. I stared at him. $45,000, I said slowly. "You stole $45,000 from Grandma." He looked down. "I was gonna win it back," he said weakly. I laughed. A harsh, humorless sound. "You didn't just lose money," I said. "You lost every ounce of respect this family had for you." His jaw clenched defensively. "Oh, come on. Don't act holier than thou." I took one step forward and he finally backed up. "You're going to fix this," I said coldly. "You're going to do exactly what I tell you." He swallowed. "And what's that?" I smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "You're going to pay back every single dollar." He scoffed. "Yeah? With what money?" "That," I said, "is what I'm going to find out." Connor stood there in his messy living room, arms crossed, jaw tense, trying to look tough, but he wasn't fooling me. He looked like a guilty child, not a grown man who had just blown through $45,000 of our grandmother's life savings. I took a slow breath and said, "You're going to pay her back." He scoffed, running a hand through his hair. "With what, Ethan? Monopoly money?" "With whatever real money you have," I snapped. "And I'm going to find every bit of it." "Oh, come on," he muttered. "You're being dramatic. It's not that deep." My blood boiled. "Not that deep." I stepped forward. "She can't afford her physical therapy. She can't buy groceries. She's afraid to open her mail. She is terrified because she thinks some stranger robbed her. And it was you." His face twitched, not with guilt, with irritation. Okay, he said. "I'll figure something out." "You'll figure something out now," I said. He hesitated. His eyes darted toward the hallway. That was the moment I knew. There was something he didn't want me to see. "Oh no," I said quietly. "What are you hiding?" "Nothing," he said a little too quickly. I walked past him. "Ethan," he called after me, "don't go back there," which was obviously the fastest way to make me go back there. I opened the door to the spare bedroom. My jaw almost hit the floor. The entire room was filled with gambling junk, poker chips, scratch cards, bet slips, casino player cards, empty alcohol bottles, stacks of betting receipts, spreadsheets printed from sports apps, a whiteboard with betting strategies scribbled all over it. a multiple duffel bags stuffed with casino promotional junk. It looked like a degenerate gambler's museum. Jesus Christ, I whispered, stepping inside. Connor appeared behind me, arms up in surrender. Okay, but it's not what it looks like. It looks, I said slowly, like you burned through Grandma's life savings to feed an addiction. He flinched. It's not an addiction, he said. I pointed at the whiteboard. Then what's this? He looked at it and said, a plan. A plan. I laughed, not out of humor but disbelief. A plan to do what? Go bankrupt creatively? He scowled. You don't get it. I was close. I was actually winning for a while. I had a system. There is no system, I snapped. The house always wins. And you lost with Grandma's money. He looked down. For the first time since I confronted him, he actually looked ashamed. Just for a moment. Then it faded, and he folded his arms again. Fine, he muttered. What do you want me to do? I took a slow breath. First, I said, you're getting a job. He rolled his eyes. I have a job. No, I said, DoorDash does not count as a job when you only work 3 hours a week. He glared at me. I continued, second, you're cutting expenses. No gambling, no apps, no late-night casinos, no systems, nothing. He snorted. You're not my dad. No, I said softly, but Grandma deserved better than what you did to her. That hit him harder than anything else so far. He looked away. Third, I said, you're giving me full visibility of your money. Absolutely not, he snapped. I stepped forward. Connor, you lost the right to privacy the moment you stole from an elderly woman who trusted you. I'm not asking. He clenched his fists. Fine. I took his phone. He didn't fight me, not really. He knew he had no moral ground left to stand on. I opened his banking app. He had $312 in his checking account. $312. For a brief second, I actually felt my stomach drop. He hadn't just blown Grandma's money. He'd blown everything. His savings? Empty. His emergency fund? Gone. Even his credit limit was maxed out. I looked up at him. Connor, I said slowly, you're broke. Completely broke. He shrugged. It happens. It happens, I repeated, stunned. You lost $45,000 that didn't belong to you, and all you can say is, it happens? He flopped onto his couch. You don't understand the stress I'm under. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I said, no, Connor, you don't understand the stress Grandma is under. The stress you caused. He rubbed his face. I didn't think she'd notice. I blinked. You didn't think she'd notice $45,000 disappearing? He muttered under his breath. She never checks her account. That was it. I nearly exploded. Of course SG doesn't, I yelled. She's 83. She's recovering from a broken hip. And you were supposed to be helping her. He shrank back for the first time. I took a breath and regained control. Get up, I said. He frowned. Why? Because, I said calmly, we're going to your car. My car, he repeated, suspicious. Yes, I said. We're selling it. His eyes widened. What? No, that's my car. My transportation. You don't have a job to go to, I said. And you owe Grandma money. A lot of money. The car is the first thing that goes. He shook his head violently. No, no way. You can't take my car. I smiled faintly. I'm not taking it. You're selling it. Because she needs the money more than you need to joyride to casinos. He shoved his hands through his hair, pacing. This is insane. No, I said quietly. What you did was insane. That night, I forced him to sit down with me and break down every source of income he could realistically get. He could sell his gaming setup. He could sell the car. He could pick up full-time work. He could pick up side gigs. He could repay her in installments. He could help her with errands, meals, and cleaning. He resisted every single suggestion. Not because he couldn't do them, but because he didn't want to. Responsibility was something he had run from his whole life. But he wasn't running from this. Not anymore. Not as long as I was here. I left his apartment around midnight and drove back to Grandma's house. Exhausted, wired, furious, heartbroken. She was asleep in her recliner. Her breathing soft. Her face peaceful. The way she looked when she didn't know the truth. When she woke up the next morning, she asked, "Did you talk to him?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Yes," I said, "and he's going to make this right." She wiped her eyes, grateful. "He's a good boy," she whispered. "He just needs guidance." My heart twisted painfully. "He needs consequences," I said under my breath. But she didn't hear me, or maybe she didn't want to. The next week was a blur of uncomfortable truths, forced accountability, and Connor trying, and failing, to wriggle out of responsibility. I wasn't having it. I had already seen the exhaustion in Grandma's eyes, the way her shoulders sagged when she saw another bill in the mail, the fear she felt every time the phone rang, terrified it was bad news. She didn't deserve a grandson who gambled away her future. She deserved someone who fought for her. And if Connor wouldn't, then I would. Step 1, his car. I drove back to Connor's apartment early the next morning. He opened the door looking like he hadn't slept at all. Unshaven, bloodshot eyes, hair sticking up. "Ethan," he groaned. "Can we not do this today?" "Nope," I said. "Get dressed. We're selling your car." He rubbed his face. "I told you I need that car. And Grandma needed her savings," I said. "Put on your shoes." He muttered something under his breath, but he went to get dressed. I followed him outside. His car, a silver 2017 Honda Civic, was parked crooked in the driveway. The interior messy with fast food wrappers and old receipts. It wasn't worth a fortune, but it was worth something. He leaned against it protectively. "Do you know how humiliating this is?" he snapped. "Not as humiliating as stealing $45,000 from an old woman," I replied. He glared at me. I held out my hand. "Keys." After a long pause, he dropped them into my palm. We drove to a used car lot. Connor pouted like a teenager being forced to apologize for breaking a window. The salesman offered $8,400 after inspection. Connor sputtered. "That's robbery." The salesman shrugged. "It's the market." I nudged him. "You're lucky we're getting anything." He signed the title transfer with trembling hands. When the cashier handed him the check, he looked as if someone had cut off his arm. I took it before he could say a word. "This goes straight to Grandma," I said. He didn't argue. He just slumped into the passenger seat. Step 2. Everything else. We returned to his apartment and began listing his gaming setup online. His custom PC, the curved monitor, his VR headset, his gaming chair, his consoles, his entire collection of games. Even the LED light strips he installed around his room. He groaned at every item I photographed. "Come on, man," he protested. "This is all I have left." "No," I corrected him. "All you have left is a debt, and we're paying it." By the end of the night, half of his precious setup was pending pickup. It totaled around $2,700 in sales. And that was before we even touched the limited edition sneakers, the signed basketball jerseys, the stacks of unopened electronics he'd bought during casino winning streaks. He begged. He bargained. He tried guilt. He tried threats. Nothing worked. Every time he complained, I reminded him, "You made Grandma cry." That shut him up every time. Step 3. A job. Connor had avoided stable employment for years. He always had excuses. "It's not the right fit. The boss was a jerk. The hours sucked. I'm figuring things out. I don't want to be tied down." But now, he had no choice. I printed out applications for everything. Warehouse worker, a grocery clerk, HVAC assistant, delivery driver, landscaping, retail, custodian, restaurant staff, call center jobs. He groaned at everyone. "You're ruining my life." "No," I said. "You ruined Grandma's life. I'm restoring balance." Eventually, he submitted an application to a shipping facility. They hired him part-time within a week. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't fun. It wasn't flexible. It was work. For the first time in his adult life, he actually had to show up somewhere consistently. Step 4. The payment plan. After selling the car, the gaming setup, the memorabilia, the electronics, the sneaker collection, the designer jackets he never wore, we scraped together around $18,000. It was a good start, but it wasn't enough. I sat him down and presented the plan. You will pay Grandma $500 a month for the next 5 years. No excuses, no missed payments, no gambling, no casinos, no betting apps, and every month you will show me proof of payment. He stared at me like I'd sentenced him to prison. You're insane, he muttered. I leaned forward. She almost lost her home because of you. He didn't respond, because he couldn't, because he knew I wasn't exaggerating, because deep down he knew he deserved worse. The meeting with Grandma. A week later, I brought him to Grandma's house. She was nervous, twisting her hands, wiping her eyes every few seconds. When Connor walked in, she looked up at him with so much heartbreak that even he froze. She whispered, "Why, sweetheart?" His face crumpled. It was the first time he'd shown real emotion. "I'm sorry, Nana," he said quietly. I messed up. I messed up bad." She cried. He cried. And I stood there, watching the person who stole everything she had fall apart in front of her. And the person he stole from still telling him, "I forgive you." That broke me more than anything else. She forgave him instantly, because that's who she is, because her heart is bigger than her pain, because she loved him, even when he didn't deserve it. The aftermath took a long time, months, then a year, then 2. But Connor paid, every month like clockwork. There were times he complained, times he slipped back into old habits, times he tried to skip a payment. But I held him accountable, and I never backed down. Slowly, painfully, he changed. Responsibility hardened him. Reality matured him. Consequences shaped him. He eventually worked his way up at the shipping job. Then he got promoted. Then he started saving on his own, actually saving. He paid off every single dollar. Grandma cried when he made the final payment. She framed the receipt. She said, "It's not about the money. It's about knowing he grew up." Where we are now, Connor and I still have tension between us. Trust takes time, and I'm not all the way there. But he tries now. He helps Grandma. He brings her groceries. He cleans her porch. He takes her to appointments. He pays her bills on time. He tells her he loves her every time he leaves her house. And she smiles again. That's what matters. As for me, I learned something important. Family doesn't survive because of blood. Family survives because someone steps up when it matters. Connor failed spectacularly at that, but he got a second chance. A real one. Not because he deserved it, but because Grandma believed in grace more than revenge. And because I believed in accountability more than excuses. In the end, we rebuilt something. Not perfect, not the same as before, but better than nothing. And Grandma got her peace back. That's all I ever wanted.